everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today we are working on part 2, which is the bear in soft pastel. And I'm super excited about it. Plus I had some details or some info to kind of go over with you guys. And that is basically on some of the things that are listed on my description below. I am going to be running through my website, and I'm going to start doing some sales. So I will start reducing some of my paintings just so that way I can kind of get those out. I'm kind of creating a little pile of nice, beautiful paintings, and then some of them I've got these matted frames like around them, or at least the matting on them, but they're just temporary matting. There's not all of them I've purchased or anything like that. Some of them I just went ahead and made myself. So they're not the greatest, but they definitely help out with shipping and trying to protect the corners. So I figured if I go ahead and mat them myself, even though not the greatest, you guys can go ahead and get it matted yourselves, and that way you can pick out the matting that you want best for it. So it definitely helps with the shipping process. But on my website, I'm going to go through and start doing some discounts there. So if you want, just check out my website. It's also listed below. Prints are on Fine Art America. That is also in the description below. And I will actually have this bear and sunflower on the Fine Art America, and it will be listed for sale on my website. Plus that, if you guys have any issues whatsoever, if you go on my website, you're trying to shop through there, if something's not working or it's not working properly, please let me know. I need to know this, so that way any issues that arise, or you can't get through, or something's not working out, if it doesn't add to cart or whatever, you know, feel free to send me an email. There should be an email listed on my contacts in my website, so that way you guys can go ahead and send me an email and let me know the issue that you're having, and I'll see what I can do to correct that for you. Also, Facebook group. We have a my Facebook creative group, and it is kind of small. It's definitely starting to grow, so I just want to put it out there that if you guys are more than welcome to go ahead and post some of your artwork. Maybe you're working on something that's a work in progress and you just want something, you know, some of your artwork to share with others. Definitely that is the group to go to. So that link is also below. Just go ahead and click that you want to join, and I check it regularly, so I will see it and go ahead and add you to the group. So fun group. Everybody's been super cool there. They're really nice, and they love looking at art and sharing art. So we would love to have you on that group. And I think that's pretty much it, and I think I'm done with boring you guys out on all this stuff, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. Alright, so here I am starting out zoomed in really far, as much as I could, so that way you guys can see me start with doing the eye of the bear. Now, I know my hand gets in the way quite a bit, but I am working with pastel pencils for this part. Now, the reason why I'm using my pastel pencils is just because I'm trying to get into really small areas. I'm trying to create some really small details. And I mean, it's not like you can't do that with regular soft, chunky pastels. You can do that too. You just need to break them, use the sharp edges to be able to get in there and do that. I guess you can just say I was just kind of lazy and just kind of picked up my pencils, my soft pastel pencils. So it's just a quick and easy way. Instead of breaking all of my soft pastels, you know, I do have some that are broken that I could use the colors, or, you know, use them on, but I don't know. I just went toward my pencils for the eyes, or any of the other smaller details that I wanted to get. I guess you can just call me a little lazy on it. I'm not for sure. But here I'm just kind of adding in the colors that I see. I've got a little bit of a blue. I know it's a little bit blurry. I think it's just because of how far I'm zoomed in on it and it's trying to focus, or I don't know. But I am using basically my blacks. I am using like a dark blue-ish black. It's almost like kind of like a nightshade. Well, not really nightshade. That's off of the pencils. It's more of a purple. But it's like kind of like a darker blue. And then I use some pinks in there too. So After I get done doing the eye, I'm now working on the nose. Now I do know that I have all my little markings, basically my drafting design like that I have on here, just kind of rough sketched it in. Some of it did kind of go away. I mean, it is kind of lighter, but I can see where it's at. It's just sometimes whenever I draw something or I sketch it out and draft it out on here, it's not entirely, let's just say, the way I want it to be. Like sometimes the lines just look a little off. I want it to maybe be a little bit, like his mouth moved over. So I kind of adjust it as I go. Just because you have it sketched on your paper doesn't mean that you can't go back and just kind of adjust things or make it better. I mean, you can do that. So I do that probably quite often. Not everything is on my sketch whenever I put it on the paper. I usually just kind of fill that in as I go. But I am using a lot of blues on this. Now this is going to look really, really funny whenever you first see it because it's got blues. And I mean, a bear's mouth is not blue. There is a reason why I kind of chose blue. This is kind of me and my own. I could have used gray or maybe like a bluish gray tone instead of the blues. But I really had a lot, and I mean a lot of warmth in this picture. There was a lot of reds, a lot of oranges, a lot of yellows, and it was just, really, really got that pop in the back. But I also need that cool. And in order to get that cool, I decided to go ahead and use my blues, my cooler tones, and start using that in its mouth. So that's where I got my blue. I was like, I'm going to go with a cooler tone instead of using grays. I'm just going to go ahead and use some blues. And when I'm using my black, that one is there, the pencil is a black. I will end up going back in and using some of my chunkier soft pastels, like either my Unisons, because I do have a lot of dark, almost black, but they have a mixture of blue in them. So they're really, really dark, really, really rich, but they have a blue hint in them. Just very, very minute. But I went back and kind of used some of those to kind of darken it and add some more blues. But here I'm just kind of getting some of my darker points in on this piece, and now I'm adding more blues. So I'm using the reflection is going to be more of a blue. Now, in reality, I guess I should have used like more of a red tones or whatever it is, because the reflection of that sunflower is going to reflect off of his nose, right? But it would just be too much of the reds, and so I wanted to tone it down, use my cool colors for the bear. So this is kind of like in my thought, imagination kind of thing, so I just went with it. This is just a fun piece, loose piece. It's just to have some fun. So yeah, definitely went with my cool tones, and that way it kind of counteracts it and evens it out just a little bit by adding this in there. So here I am blending it in with my blending stump, as you've seen just a bit ago. There it is. I was using my paper stump to kind of push those pastels and work them into the paper, because I know for a fact that I am going to have to go on top of this, and I want it pushed in, worked in to where I can add another layer and more layers on top of it if needed. So here I am adding a little bit of gray to his nose. So this I did kind of work with a gray, and then I put some browns in there using my pastel pencil, because I'm still kind of working on more of the detail kind of part of it. Those are some darker grays in there. So there's some darker grays, lighter grays, and then some browns. Now on the blues, I'm not for sure what I used on the, or not on the blues, but on the gray tones. I think I probably went with a kind of like the warm gray, because I want a warm gray. It has a little bit more of that kind of like a brownish tint to it, like a little bit of browns. So here I am adding a little bit more blue in, kind of adjusting his mouth a little bit. It's gonna look really funny. When I first did this, my thought goes through my mind, oh my gosh, it looks like a clown. You just have those thoughts all the time. You're like, oh, I hope this ends up looking good. Right now it looks kind of funny. It's all right. Just keep on working on it, and it will get better once you layer upon layer, and then it will turn out just fine. So here I am, kind of got this in just the regular mode. I not have this speed up, so that way you can kind of see just a little bit of how slow I work. So nothing's really fast. I don't get done really fast. This actually takes quite a bit of time just to kind of slowly put in your colors and go in the direction of where the fur is going. This will be blended out though. This is basically the underpainting, I guess you could say, of it. And he had like a dark patch on his eye. So this bear definitely had a little patchy eye. So what I'm doing is, even though I'm going to blend this out and smooth it out, I am still wanting to kind of make sure where that fur is going. And I will end up adjusting it later on too, because I noticed there was some more browns in there and it kind of took a different shape. So I had to go back in and add a little bit more of the darker blacks and browns. This one here is just a really dark brown. And this is out of my Richardson. So my hand rolled Richardson soft pastels, which are really soft, and they do amazing on blending. So here I am adding in more of my darks. I sped it back up. Just kind of putting my darks in the areas that was really dark. And then here's more of I would say more of a mid-tone. Just kind of covering the paper, because I will have to blend it out and cover it. Then here's more of a lighter, where I'm going to put the highlight in, back to the mid-tone. And now I'm taking my Sofft tool, and that's spelled S-O-F-F-T, Sofft tool. Love these things. So now here I'm just kind of blending it out, kind of pushing the pastel into the paper while I blend. Blending that out. Of course, he doesn't look right yet. He still looks a little funny. There's some more dark blue. Now I'm adding in some black. That's more of a black with a bluish tone in it. But you can't tell. I mean, it's just a hint of it. Now here I am using a lighter type of brown. And this one here is of my Unison soft pastels. And I'm just kind of making the fur going in the direction of wherever the direction the fur is going in the reference photo. And this is only one of many layers that I'm doing. So I definitely go over it quite a bit. Now I'm using kind of a little bit darker than that lighter tone to go over his patch in his eye. Kind of going in the direction of where the fur is going on it. Using some browns in there, kind of sticking some more browns, richer browns. And here I go, continuing on with the fur. Basically on my thicker pastels, the ones that I was using was the Sennelier, the Unison, and then my Jack Richardson hand-rolled or handmade, hand-rolled soft pastels. So I kind of work between those three, because that's what three I have. So I just kind of, basically, I don't even really look at which one I'm actually grabbing. I just kind of look at the color and the color that I'm needing. That's pretty much how I choose it. They're all pretty much a really soft pastel. I think Unison is kind of like an in-between. You can actually get some really sharp edges on your Unisons. The Sennelier and the Jack Richardson are some really soft pastels. I do believe the Sennelier are actually a little bit softer than the Jack Richardsons. Oh, and then my Townsend, my Diane Townsend. You know, they're the tarranges. I don't really use it that much in this piece. I do use them here and there. I just throw in some different browns here and there. Pretty much just kind of making it up as I go. I see the reference photo, and sometimes I just want to throw in some extra colors in there. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Just go ahead and do it. This is a fun piece, and here I am adding in some more of these darker colors, as you can see, like a black. And that was because I needed to add a little bit of extra darker patch, like in a little bit of a different direction there. It had a little bit of a tail, so I just kind of narrowed it down a little bit on that side. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue and add in some of this dark blue in the bottom, because he had a lot of these shadowings. And of course I'm sticking with my cooler colors. Blues are it. Here I am adding some more colors in there, some more browns, kind of shaping it around the eye there. A little bit of a highlight here and there, but I don't want too much. If it has too much of a harsh line, I just kind of knock those off. Because that's not really what I was wanting. Not too much of it. I want to get more of those type of lines toward the end where I add the little straggly little hairs and fur. Now on his nose, it is really short hair. So you don't have that really long hair. So I try and kind of dot it out or make it like some really short hair, like some little bitty dots in there. And here I'm kind of adding a little bit of like an orangey tone, because he had that in the picture or in the reference photo, and I definitely wanted to throw that color in. But on the shorter hair, I end up kind of dotting it a little bit. It's not really that long of fur is what I'm putting in there. It'll be a little bit shorter, and that's the highlight. Just kind of going back over it. And if it gets too short of a fur, instead of making like little fur dots or something, you can actually just tone it in and smooth it out. Because the shorter the fur, the more smoother it looks. It looks more solid. The longer the fur, you're going to have more longer strokes and have more detail with the fur. But here I am adding it in. Making these little bitty specks going all the way down. Just still trying to go in the direction of where the fur is going. I didn't want it too detailed, so I will be kind of blending this out a little bit, and so that way I'm kind of softening it and kind of pushing those dots back. Because I definitely don't want them standing out that much. Not that much. Putting in a little bit of a shadow fur in there. Now I'm creating some underneath his chin. His chin was a little shadowed, so it's going to be a little bit darker underneath his chin and in between where the two bones are. I guess it's like chin bone has that little, you know, that little divot in the middle, or their little, I don't know what to call it, like has that little indentation in there. So I'm going to darken it up with more of a darker blackish blue color. And then I'm kind of putting it in between the fur and there. Okay. Now, like I said, it's just going to be layering upon layering on this. If I just left the marks like this, it kind of looks like he got in the water and his fur got wet. You know, it had that kind of look to it. So I didn't want it to be like, you know, looking like that. So I definitely wanted to soften that out. Kind of putting my darks back in. Putting some more highlights, a little bit lighter color in. And now I'm just kind of softening it out just a little bit with my soft brush. Now I don't wipe everything completely clean, but I do kind of like smooth out some of the area so that way it's not too straggly of lines, like not too harsh and coarse of the lines. So I'm taking my little soft tool here and just kind of smoothing it out some. Especially on the shorter hair. That right there, it's like, I definitely wanted to smooth that out a lot. Soften that up. But I decided to put a little bit more brown into that. Or into his nose. Now I'm coming back through, kind of reshaping this fur just a little bit more. Adding some more layers to it. Like I said, I'll just go back over it. Softening it out because it is a shorter type of hair. And I definitely wanted it to be a little bit looser and just got more of that feel that it all goes together. You know, if I had him looking, I guess, way too, I don't know how to say it, like way too, like if he was different than the scenery behind him. Like the scenery behind him was more loose and fun and painterly, and I wanted him to kind of go with the flower and the bee. So I wanted them all to kind of match. So he's going to be what I call a little fun bear. I actually named this painting Honey Bear. Still trying to go in the direction of what I see in the picture or in the reference photo. And the reference photo wasn't just like this whole piece neither. I just kind of created this on my own, like thinking of it, and just looked at different photos to try to come up with a good idea of what I wanted. So I took bits and pieces from several different reference photos and just kind of combined them into making my own. And so that's how I came up with this piece. This piece here wasn't like, you know, this ain't a piece that was actually out there. So this is of my own. Sticking a little bit more of a highlight in there, probably more of a little bit of a gray or blue gray, I think. Now here I'm just kind of dusting it off a little bit, not wiping it down completely, just here and there. Soften it out just a little bit. And sometimes I just take a napkin and just kind of dust over it. Adding in some more of my darks in some of the areas. And then I'll end up coming back through and then putting some more of the first strokes in. That way it looks really full, and that's what it's getting. It's just getting fuller and fuller of different little fur marks. But then I'm going to go back in and add some more darker browns to it, or at least some more richer browns to it, because he was kind of needing a little bit more. here I'm taking my pastel pencils, and this is where I'm making like the little bitty straight line hairs, like these little wispy hairs. This is what I'm using just to make those little wispy hairs just kind of come out here and there. And then right around his little lashes on his eyes. After that, then I'm going to go ahead and go back through and add some more richer browns right around his fur. So that will be the next step. Oh, there are a little more little wispies. I love those little wispy hairs. That's like one of my favorite things to do, is add those little wispy hairs that just kind of grow out here and there. I absolutely love doing that. It's like one of my favorite parts. Adding some more detail in there. And then I'll end up softening it out just a little bit more. Just a little bit. There we go. Adding some dark, more to my darks in there. And then a little bit of my lights, just little fur marks. That way it has kind of like this texture look to it. Kind of readjusting that there. But then I'll go back in, and here I'm just kind of putting in some more richer browns into this piece. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you could, just leave the like and subscribe. Sorry, I was actually losing my voice there for a moment. But anyways, if you're new here, please click the like button and subscribe. That would definitely help. And if you have been here the whole entire time, been with me, you already were just a subscriber, I appreciate you guys so much for subscribing. And also, just if you could hit the like button, that definitely helps by putting this video out there, so that way YouTube can share it with others. So that definitely helps. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Also, remember to check the links out below on the screen. I do have a lot of my paintings that I have reduced by a lot of them. Some of them are actually reduced by 50%. So definitely a big sale going on. And I know the sale won't last too long. I won't keep them out there too long. But definitely wanted to put that out there, so that way I can kind of lighten up some of my paintings here. So if you want, check that out. If not, hey, that's just fine too. Also, check out Fine Art America. That's where I have most of my prints, or at least a lot of my prints of just about everything I think I put on there. So some really cool things. But anyways, yeah, there's a reminder. Click the like and subscribe, and I will see you all next week with a new painting. Bye, you guys.